Oh, blessings. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to be back. I just had a really lovely trip to the East Coast visiting my family and also teaching a little bit and singing some devotional music together in kirtan in community. So it was quite a whirlwind, and I'm just getting back. And I'm very, very happy that we're all gathered here today. I have some a fun practice to share with you all today. So as we've been unfolding in this workshop series on Ayurvedic psychology and Ayurveda and healing trauma, we've been kind of sharing a lot of different perspectives from the bigger picture perspective of the phases of healing and then all the inner faculties of this energetic organ of the antakarana, this aspect of how we experience life and how we draw from our memory banks. And those faculties kind of give us some insight into the inner workings of the mind and help us create some separation between our true self and the conditioned self and our nervous system. And so today we're going to talk a little bit more about one specific tool, and we're going to use that tool throughout today's workshop. This of mudras or hand positions. These hand positions, it's like these little mini yoga postures for your hands. But what they do is all the elements are in your hands. So by going into these different positions with your fingers, you actually create an energy circuit in your body. And with practice, with regular practice of these various mudras, and I'll share a handful of them with you, no pun intended. I'll share a handful of them with you, and we'll practice them today so you can start to feel the subtle benefits. And you'll see which of the practices resonate most with you. And then you can bring that into your practices at home, into your meditation, into your prayer, into your chanting. And mudra practices are really great because you can also use them at any time of day. Some of them, they're so discreet. You don't have to make a sound. You don't have to do anything, but you can use these hand positions, and some are even more discreet than others. You can use these hand positions to support your whole energy body, no matter where you are, what you're doing, when you're sitting reading, when you're conversing with someone, when you're, you know, a passenger in a vehicle, all kinds of places, when you're even just laying in bed, depending on the hand position. So these positions are really great, and they also help you physically, in an embodied way, stay connected to your true self. So they're really lovely, subtle energy practice, and you can also use them with your mantra practices. So we'll start today, as usual, with a little bit of a practice together, a mantra repetition, a little gentle pranayama breath work, and a little reading, meditative reading. And then we'll go into the mudras and the hand positions, and I'll teach you them. And some of you are going to be listening to this on audio, so I will do my best to describe them in great detail, just like if you're in a yoga class, taking an asana class, and you can't see the teacher, you can still listen and still do the practice. So I'll try to describe them in detail, and they're all very easy, so it should be easy to do that. And then we'll wrap up as usual with another universal chanting prayer practice and practice together. So thank you again for being here. And for those of you who haven't joined one of these live workshops yet, this is a part of a series. And each session that we've been doing in this workshop series, each class builds upon the other, but it's also fine to just jump in the middle. But all the recordings of previous classes are also available on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, and on my podcast. So you can go back and go deeper into any of the little topics that I may mention, but not go into great detail in today's session. And you can find all the information that way. But one of the things that I really felt inspired in starting this workshop series is to create a community and a safe container to dive into this deeper healing. And especially when it comes to resolving trapped emotions or dealing with heavy emotions that inevitably come up throughout the course of life, because the nature of material existence can be quite painful and challenging. And then further into that, if you have ever suffered from some type of childhood trauma or some type of abuse or some type of compromised situation in the past that has created an anxiety or a depression or a tension or a fear or some kind of set point in your nervous system that leads you to feel hypersensitive to the world around you, or just very, disconnected from the inner peace that you really crave. So I wanted to create a container where we can explore these topics and dive really deep into these ancient, timeless principles of Ayurvedic science, yogic science, spirituality in a way that is practical, but also, again, safe to dive into, because I think it's important that a lot of people who have experienced traumas or some type of compromised, challenging experience in the past, it's unfortunately in our society quite taboo to talk about these things, let alone to heal from them. And gosh, what would our world be like if we just knew how to work with these inner workings, right? And we knew how to access deep and profound peace and true healing that lasts. Also, as an Ayurvedic practitioner myself over the years, over the last decade plus, as I was working with people on the physical realm and detoxification and healing their gut and various imbalances in the body, I started to realize that I can only help someone so far working on the physical level, that there's these other deeper layers that need to be addressed in order to create real physical transformation in the body that lasts. And so this is why in our last workshop a few weeks ago, we went into those phases: physical detox, mental, emotional, the energetic body, the subtle energy body, how to detoxify on that level, and then how to go all the way to the causal body, the causal level, the very fabric of your existence, which then transcends into the spiritual realms and into the divine realms, and then brings that pure energy back through so that it can guide our cells and our physical body back into wholeness and peace. So that's a little bit of the context for why we're gathering, and the kind of space that we're creating here. And so thank you all for being gentle, sweet souls that are just truly in heart and in service to your healing and to making the world a more peaceful place. So let's start with a little bit of practice to set the stage for your embodied experience. So just bringing your eyes closed, if that feels good, or at least directing your gaze downward. We'll start by feeling the hips and the feet on the ground, or any part of you that's in the lower part of your body that's in contact with the earth beneath you. So just starting to notice all the contact points. And as you tune in with that, just start to go through and release any little tensions in those physical contact points. And you can do that with your breath. So taking a deep breath in, maybe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Bringing in a gentle sigh. And as that helps you just melt into all those points beneath you. And start to notice your feet and knees and hips relax. And with every breath. And as you inhale, feeling the belly relax and expand. As you inhale, the belly expands to the front, to the sides, even into the back. And as you exhale, it all draws back towards the spine, towards the center. And as you inhale, it expands in all the directions. And exhale, it draws towards the center. And then just start to travel up your spine gently, just feeling the curve, bringing the breath there, allowing the chest to relax, holding the shoulders up, back, and down in a couple circles, and then pressing the shoulders down away from your ears, tucking the chin in slightly, feeling how that releases tension in the back of your neck and head. And then maybe bringing in a tiny bit of movement, making gentle circles with your head, clockwise and counterclockwise, just very small circles, just to bring a little softness and lubrication into your neck. And then finding stillness, feeling the crown of your head just gently lifted up to the ceiling. And then another couple of deep, full breaths in through the nose and out through the nose or mouth. And the next practice, which is a crossover between a mantra practice and also a pranayama practice, a breathwork practice, is chanting the three sounds of ha, ri, and om. Hari om, H-A, ha, ri, R-I, om. And these three sounds connect to an energy circuit, create an energy circuit in your body. The ha starts down in the lower regions of your belly. So just say ha first, just to get in touch with that sensation at the navel center and below. Ha. Ha starts down there. Re moves the energy up the spine. Ha, re, it moves up. And then om, it circulates. Om, and it comes back. Hari om. So we'll repeat that a handful of times. Just keep doing it with me. Take a full deep breath in and exhale with Hari om. Hari om. Hari om. One more. Just rest in a moment of peace. And now we'll use that same mantra, those same 3 sounds of Hari Om, and sing it as a little mantra practice. So just follow along this very simple tune, simple melody with me. We'll do it a few times and just try your best to follow, and you'll catch on really quick if you haven't learned this one already. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Om. We'll do the first round like call and response style so you can hear it once and sing it once with me. So let's do that first line one more time. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Om. Great. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Hari Om. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Hari Om. Okay, we'll do it 2 more times. Sing it 2 more times all the way through without the repeated call and response. So just sing it with me this time, next 2 times. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari 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 Om. 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 Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Hari Om. Hari Hari Om. Hari Hari Om. Hari Om. Forget all of your ideas about the body. It's this way or it's that way. Just be with any area of it, this present body, as permeated with limitless space, drenched in freedom. Tanu deshe shunya taiva kshana matram vibhavayet. Nirvi kalpam nirvi kalpo nirvi kalpa svarupabhak. Forget all of your ideas about the body. It's this way or it's that way. Just be with any area of it, this present body, as permeated with limitless space, drenched in freedom. These are the meditation poems of the Sri Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, also called the Radiance Sutras in this translation. It's a very beautiful poetic translation. And each poem you read and just sit with the concept that it presents. And I love this one today, especially for the letting go of the mind, the concepts, the beliefs that we've created about our physical body and how it works and how it even heals. At some point, even the things that I present to you, you can just let them all go. We want to understand Prakriti, the essence of nature, and how we are aligned or misaligned with the laws of nature so that we understand how the body works and so that we can optimize it, so that we can feed it appropriately, so that we can rest it appropriately, so that we can care for it appropriately. But we have to become aware when our mind starts creating limitations, unnecessary limitations to our healing, or what we believe has to happen in order for us to have a certain experience of freedom or peace. And this particular poem that talks about limitless space, it's like when we connect to our physical body, our typical mindset is saying, this thing is dense, right? It's like the slowest, densest earth element of like all the subtle energy, all the 5 elements, ether, air, fire, water, earth. Earth, this body is earth. It's dense, it's stubborn, it's particular, it doesn't like the hot or it doesn't like the cold, or it wants the hot or the cold. It has constant craving and aversion and discomfort and aches and pains and stiffnesses and acidities and all kinds of things, right? It's just constantly seems dense and kind of stubborn and irritated. And so then we create these beliefs about all the things that have to be in order and in place in order for it to heal. And at some point, if we create too much rigidity around those belief systems and rules, then we're most definitely holding ourselves back from the freedom, from that just feeling of true embodied connection with the holy, with the beautiful, the true, the pure, the divine. Drenched in freedom, the poem says, drenched in freedom. And what this poem, I already lost my bookmark. What this poem is also revealing is that is here and now. If you can be with an area of your body, any area of your body, and just be with it in total acceptance of exactly as it is in this moment, whatever emotional experience your emotional body might be having, whatever physical experience your physical body might be having, experience that sensation, whatever it is, but then finding the space between it. Finding the space. And so this meditation invites us to at least consider for a moment, what is it like to just be with it without being in the resistance to it? And so Andrew just wrote, I'm having a hard time forgetting about the body. Just last night, I experienced a throbbing pain in my leg, also swelling. Absolutely. And Andrew, what this is suggesting, and part of the practice, is not about forgetting the body. In fact, this entire text is a tantric text. And the tantric texts are the path of embodied divinity versus some of the pathways of ascending the body. They're actually all one and the same. They're two pathways of self-realization, two ways of realizing the true divinity indwelling. But there's a spiritual concept of I am not the body. Yes, of course, your Atman, your immortal, eternal soul that's untouchable by the pains of this world, is not the body. Your true self is not the body. And yet the body speaks, and yet you are dwelling in a physical body. And so that concept creates pain if it is thought about through the lens of, well, I'm supposed to just, if I'm not the body, then do I need to forget about the body? Well, we have form and we have a body. And so this text and this passage I just read is actually suggesting that we go into the body and experience it through a lens of neutrality, just by being with it. So when you're having that throbbing pain and the swelling, the practice is just being with it as a sensation without being emotionally disturbed by it, without allowing the mind to take over and start spiraling out into its fears and into its fantasies and into its right. So it's just being with it. And of course, you still act and do things that help the body to release that pain. You try to, but it's more from a place of observation and witnessing rather than reactiveness. That reactiveness. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And you can totally release the notion that you have to forget about the body. Yeah. But even when we're having pain, a very dear friend of mine has become profoundly proficient at being able to do this. And she She had two children, I guess close to 15 years ago now, because her oldest is almost maybe 14. But when she had her two births, when she gave birth to both of her children, she had ecstatic births, and meaning she didn't experience any pain whatsoever, and the children glided out of her quite easily. And so she had a moment in time where she became kind of YouTube famous because it was filmed and put on YouTube. She had these ecstatic births, but people started interviewing her, like, how did you do that? Because she didn't go into pregnancy saying, I'm going to have an ecstatic birth, or I'm going to practice anything in order to be able to do that. But she had created this relationship with pain a very long time ago in her childhood that helped her find the space between sensations. And this is actually really interesting that this is all coming full circle right now, because this directly relates into our mudra topic for today. But finding the space between the impulses of tension. And unfortunately, she had a very traumatic childhood. Her mother drowned when she was very young, and so her father raised her, and he's a very abusive, angry person, and he used to beat her with a belt, and she was getting lashings from him, and she could never get away from him or away from them, so she had to like endure this beating. But what she did, somehow in her consciousness, she was able to, while she was receiving a blow, she started to find the space in between the hit. And she realized if she stopped tensing against the discomfort, when she tensed against it, it would hurt more. And then she said, if she just melted into it and like relaxed into it, it started to create less pain. So, a very horrible way to learn this lesson, but obviously she came into this life with some level of consciousness to be able to do this. And now she speaks about it and teaches others about it. But how she describes it is that over time, after practicing over and over and over with finding the space between, at some point, she would be receiving a blow and she would feel no pain, and she actually would start to feel not pleasure, but almost like she would say it felt like it was just moving through water. Like the ripples would just go, but there was no pain from it. And this angered her father, and the beatings got worse because it wasn't having an effect on her. So then she had to learn how to do that with more intensity. So this went on for a number of years until she eventually got away from him, thank God. But it created this embodied experience for her where she was able to she started to navigate these tiny little spaces in between the seeming density of the physical form. And one of the ways I think about it is, have you ever held a tennis ball or a softball, the size of a softball, and how light a softball is? So there's that softball. So imagine I have a softball in this hand, and that's a certain weight. And then maybe the same weight, an orange, about the same size, right? But the orange is going to feel a little heavier, right? So same amount of space, but it's a little more dense. It has all that juice inside. It's not hollow. And then think about, oh my goodness, I'm going blank. What is that's the super, super dense metal, like cadmium or uranium or something like that, right? It's like a little marble of it is like 50 pounds. I don't know. I'm not a chemist. But then imagine some really dense metal of the same size as a softball, right? They're the same size shape, but now this is all of a sudden like 200 pounds and I can barely pick it up off the ground, the super dense metal. Well, where's all that space? How does this get to be so heavy and this get to be so light? Where's all that space? And even inside of that, super dense metal, there's still more space. So the same thing in this thing, in this thing, like there's infinite space within, and there's infinite space outside. And so this is where your subtle energy body dwells, is in the infinite space, the space between. This is kind of like quantum physics, quantum mechanics, right? This idea that even inside every cell, which is made up of all these atoms, which is made up of all these teeny tiny protons, electrons, there's infinite space in between each one. And it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So the practice with the mudras actually helps us just connect to that space in a very subtle realm, in a subtle way. And when we can cultivate a bit more of that subtle energy flow and that sensitivity and peacefulness within, when we practice it when we're not in pain, when you practice these tools when we're not in crisis, when you practice, devotional practices, meditation practices, prayer practices, pranayama practices, when you are not in pain, it allows you to draw upon them when you are going through crisis. A great example of this, because I just visited my mom on the East Coast, and a number of years ago when my mom used to live in California, we both lived in Southern California, and she fell and broke her wrist. And I was very much, into my practices and devotional practices and chanting and all of that. She broke her wrist. She had to get it reset. It was very, very painful for her. And I said, Mom, listen to the Gayatri mantra. It's so beautiful, right? Like it's so healing. And so we found this beautiful version of Deva Premal on YouTube, and it had all the nature scene. And so she would just listen to it for like an hour. And it was very, very healing for her at the time. But what happened? Now she can't listen to that Deva Premal version of the Gayatri mantra because she started listening to it when she was in crisis. And now it's an anchor to her of that pain. So you don't want to start the practices when you're in crisis. Because we laughed about it, and I was like, oh, she's like, oh, I love that Gayatri mantra, but I just can't listen to it anymore. So she can listen to a new version of the Gayatri mantra. But that's one example, right? We want, and especially when friends and loved ones come to us, we want to share with them the tools. But sometimes people are only interested in the things that can help them get out of pain. And then once they're better, they're like, I don't need that thing anymore. It's like, but we're all going to transition out of this life. We're all going to leave these bodies one day, and our loved ones are too. And so we know that's inevitable because material existence is limited. And since that's inevitable and there's always ups and downs of life, well, let's ingrain these practices now so that we have them to draw upon, which anchors us back to our truth, a higher truth, instead of anchoring us back to something uncomfortable and painful. Does that make sense? Yeah. So glad that we are gathering and doing these practices now. So of course, the mudra practices can be used anytime, but let's get into some of the practices. There's a beautiful quote from Maya Tiwari that I want to read to you about the mudra practices. And the mudra positions connect us with our hidden powers within and bring awareness to the subtle body. It is an exact yogic science by which we may develop our internal and external dispositions and help reverse degeneration within the body. Mudras enhance breath and inner vibration. They bring light through our hands, converting them into cosmic conduits for healing. They also make us aware of the cosmic 5 elements coursing through our fingers, connecting our hands to the universe. So the 5 elements on our hands are ether and on the thumb, air on your index finger, fire in your middle finger, water in your ring finger, and earth in your pinky finger. So these mudras are Vedic hand gestures infused with cosmic prana, or that life force energy that animates you into life, specifically designed to shift negative energy into positive vibration. And they help connect us with the divine feminine and the mother consciousness, that the principle of nurturing and healing within, which every being has, whether it's in a male or female body. Every being has that. And this is the healing principle, the animating principle of healing, and that same connection to Mother Earth and the rhythms and cycles of nature that bring about restoration and healing. That mother consciousness, if you will, is the same kind of energetic concept that when you get a cut on your arm, that creates it to scab and to heal back into skin. It's that regeneration process. So, or that, yeah, regeneration aspect. And so when we do these mudras, it helps us connect to that, bring about that energy, awaken that energy within. So the first mudra is very, very, very simple. It's called Abhaya Mudra. Abhaya Mudra. It means Bhaya is fear, and Abhaya means without fear. So it's a mudra that invokes a protective force and allows our nervous system to experience fearlessness. And you'll see many of the forms of even the deities in the Hindu pantheon in this mudra position. And it's one that we can practice ourselves. And so one of this mudra position, Abhaya Mudra, is simply that you're holding your hand, your right palm, facing away from your body, almost like you would be holding up a stop sign, except it's more relaxed. So your elbow is relaxed against your body, your arm is relaxed against your body, your palm is, about shoulder level, palm is facing away from you. And it's kind of like the same position that you would wave at someone with your right hand, except it's a little more tucked in. And the fingers are not super like rigid or flat, they're just relaxed. The fingers might be even slightly apart, so there's a little space in between them. Thumb is tucked in. And you'll notice as you hold this Abhaya Mudra, this practice, this position, it brings about peacefulness, and fear will melt away. So if you're not doing it already, go ahead and join me in this position. And just take a few deep breaths. And it's interesting to just notice, like we did in the beginning, just kind of noticing if there's any tensions in your body and kind of scanning your body from head to foot, just bringing, peacefulness and relaxation to any areas of tension so that your body is just super comfortable. But this one does work best as long as your posture is upright. So sitting away from your chair, spine is long, crown of the head reaching towards the sky, and palm facing away from you. Dispelling fear, invoking divine protection. And take a few more breaths here just to witness and observe and notice. This practice is also known to invoke a sense of courage. It helps energetically resolve inner conflict. And clear the mind. And brings about confidence. I've found with practicing this mudra also, it's kind of like creates a sense of more solidarity within your own boundaries. So it's just like energetically feeling like for me, I used to have a lot of leaky boundaries, and I had so much fear of disappointing others that I would like just say yes to things that I really didn't want to do. And so practicing this helped me kind of find my own inner yes and honor that. This is one of my personal experiences. And I attribute that a little bit to the courage that this, an inner conflict that this mudra and this, the energy that the way that it moves energy in your body and how that cultivates. You can use this practice anytime you feel anxious or afraid, and sit for 10 minutes, set a timer for 10 minutes and sit with this Abhaya Mudra and just be. And you can also, if you'd like, use this in any silent meditation practice or also in your mantra meditation practice. So the chant that we did earlier, Hari Om, you can use with this practice too. So let's just chant it one time together while you hold the mudra. Deep breath in. Hari Om. Beautiful. So the next one we'll move into is called Dhyana Mudra. And Dhyana Mudra is very simple. This one, Abhaya Mudra with your hand up might not be appropriate everywhere you are, because, if you're in a conversation with someone and you do that, what are you doing? But this next one, Dhyana Mudra, moves down so that your right hand is on top of your left, very comfortably placed. and your two thumbs, the tips of your two thumbs are touching. So, Mehar just asked, what of the other hand? So when you're doing Abhaya Mudra, your left hand can just lay relaxed in your lap. Let me see. It can just lay relaxed in your lap, face up or face down, wherever is comfortable. There's a second mudra that you'll see a lot of deities in, I think it's called Varuna Mudra, if I'm not mistaken, right? Where this hand is going, the left hand is going out and the right hand is in Abhaya Mudra. And so this is Abhaya Mudra, the fearlessness, and this is the hand of granting boons, but it's also receiving. So you might also think of it as the right energy is also giving and the left hand is receiving. But you can hold that just to see how that feels if you want to do that as a practice this way. Otherwise, just let your left hand relax in your lap. Yeah. I might have thought I had a little note on that, but I don't think I do. Okay. So Dhyana Mudra is just an easy pose. So it's your left hand rests down in your lap, palm faced up, and then your right hand lays on top of it. And then the two thumbs are connected. My lighting is a little funny it's very sunny out today. And they're just lay relaxed. Just, yep. So left hand, both palms are up and just the thumbs are touching. It's kind of just the natural hand position that your hands fall into in your lap, in any position. Just the right hand is on top of the left. And then the only thing that you do differently is that you connect the two thumbs. And that's what completes the energy circuit on this one. So you connect the two thumbs. And you'll notice we'll just sit here for just a moment while we chat. We won't do as long of a practice, but this is one that just creates a lot of ease. It helps focus the mind. So when you're doing a meditation and your mind feels busy, holding this mudra allows just a calm, contemplative focus in your mental energy. Of course, combined with the Brahmari pranayama, that humming breath, the Hari Om chant that we just did really helps if you hold this position while you're doing any of those, and it just brings focus to your mind. Of course, you can combine that with Marma points for focus and all these things, but we can do those in another class. I've mentioned those in previous workshop classes, but this is just a lovely, very calm, peaceful pose. You'll see the Buddha depicted as holding this dhyana mudra with the hands, just right hand laid on top of the left hand and those thumbs touching. So this is a really lovely one if you're in conversation with anyone, or if you're a passenger in a vehicle or something, that you can just relax and just be. It helps you also just stay present with yourself, with your breath, connected to your body, instead of sometimes as highly sensitive empath types, we can kind of get lost in others' worlds. If we're engaged with others and they're sharing something with us, we can sometimes get lost in that. And so this is really nice one that really helps you just sit back and stay connected to yourself while simultaneously engaging. So I found that it really helps me focus and feel peacefully, calmly focused. So Anne Catherine asks, how does the first mudra direct the energy in the body to create inner peacefulness and also set boundaries? So this is just a position. It's kind of like asking, if you're in downward dog, how does that positions specifically create like the energy movement. I don't know if I can get the specific to you of exactly like how it moves. It's like one of those ancient positions that's just like we can't quite articulate. It's beyond our mental comprehension of like how the energy moves, but we know that this is an ancient position that was given to us or conceived by the rishis, the ancient seers, to create this effect. But we might not be able to map it in the body exactly. But this is why it's depicted throughout thousands of years. This position is one of the most basic positions to feeling a sense of fearlessness. And so the thing that, so it creates, you asked about peacefulness and boundaries specifically. The peacefulness that's created by Abhaya Mudra, and Abhaya Mudra is spelled Abhaya, Abhaya Mudra. And Abhaya Mudra creates peacefulness because it dispels fear. So in some ways, I experience it as like whatever the fear that I'm holding or tension, it just like kind of exits out of my hand. It just like, and in some ways, the way I experience, I use the word boundary, not because that's written in an ancient text. It's because it's how I experience it. That's how I experienced working with this practice. But even just when you think about setting a boundary for yourself, it's like, hey, stop right there. This is my personal space, right? So it's kind of like if you had your palm out, that's like a universal symbol, no matter what language you speak. It's like, hey, this is my personal space. Stop right there. But it's not assertive. It's not pushing outward. You're relaxing back towards your body. So it's like a calm disposition of like, I feel safe. I don't have to create this thing outside of myself. I feel safe here, but I also feel safe and centered inside of myself, which therefore creates a sense of peacefulness because I'm without fear. And then if you extrapolate this out like way further in an extended practice, if you practice this over a long period of time, this mudra is said to rid us of the fear of death, which is the ultimate fear of every human being. So releasing the fear of death creates so much peacefulness because you're not constantly trying to preserve and fight against the cycles of nature that are inevitable for us to move through. So I hope that answers some of your question. And Catherine, thank you for asking. And Sue asked, so Abhaya Mudra and then Dhyana Mudra. So the second mudra is Dhyana, Dhyana, Dhyana Mudra. And Dhyana Mudra is the one where just our hands are stacked on top of each other, comfortably in our lap, faced pointed towards the sky. Left hand is below the right hand, and the tips of the thumbs are touching very comfortably. Okay. The next one I have for you is also another very simple one. It's called Anjali Mudra, spelled Anjali. Anjali Mudra is prayer position. So both of the palms are touching, thumbs are touching against the center of the chest at the heart. And elbows can either be up or just relaxed down. But the point here is that all the elements are connected to each other, and it's a prayer position. It's a mood. It has a mood of humility. It has a mood of spiritual surrender, that I am in the divine presence when I am physically in this position. I am in the divine presence. We know, it's a very common greeting to put hands in prayer position and bow to one another, to say namaskar, namaste, to acknowledge that divine beauty that is that Atman of self and of the other, that we are one, we are soul family on this earth. There's this beautiful little YouTube video that I saw by Muji Baba one day. You might find it on YouTube, and he does a little video on Anjali Mudra, and it's just so sweet because he's just like, you cannot feel fear or anxiety or anything when your hands are like this. Just put your hands like this. And it's such an endearing little video if you want to find it. But it's, for me, it's kind of like this is a prayer of surrender to the highest, surrender, gratitude, humility. You surrender your control. You're no longer, your life is in service. And so let's just do one Hari Om in this Anjali Mudra just to experience a little taste and just feel it. So take a couple deep breaths first and just bringing your awareness really internal. Also, because the whole front of the hands are touching each other, and the kind of disposition is to draw you a little bit inward, it helps you commune with the heart. You're connecting, your thumb is touching the heart, you're drawing your energy within and into that sacred place. And so taking one more deep breath here. And then take a deep breath in and exhale with a long Hari Om. Hari Om. It is almost impossible to feel anxiousness the longer you hold this position. And the more you can, so this is another one, just like the Abhaya Mudra, that if you can simply hold this position for just 5 minutes, set a timer if you want, or do the Hari Om chants with the little melody that we did in the beginning. You can do that in this position. But you'll just find yourself feel calmer and calmer, more and more trusting of life, more and more of a belief that you're exactly where you need to be at this very moment, no matter what's going on around outside of you or inside of you. You're right where you need to be for the highest purposes, for Dharma. Very good. And release that whenever you're ready. There are so many others, but I want to share just one more today. This one is the most complex one that we'll do today, but it's still quite easy and quite comfortable. And this one can actually pretty much be used anywhere you are, because it's another one where your hands are in your lap as well. But this next one is called Shakti Mudra. So Shakti Mudra, this mudra position is actually hyper specific, highly specific to healing the womb from any traumas. And so this one is usually recommended to women who've experienced any kind of sexual abuse, or who have painful periods, or who have any kind of imbalance, maybe not even a specific abuse history, but any kind of imbalance in the reproductive system, reproductive pain. But it is specific to restoring the womb energy back to its original state of wholeness. And it directs healing energy, and it reawakens that sacred Shakti, that feminine healing principle of divine feminine energy into the womb. And now men can use this one too, because it's, even though it's often used in women's specific imbalances, it's the same energy center. So even if a male-bodied person has trauma in that area or is disconnected in any way from this center of the body, this is still a good practice and an effective practice, because everyone has Shakti energy, that principle of that energy, that life-giving and life-animating force in your being. So to perform Shakti Mudra, it's another one where your hands can just relax in your lap. But the only thing that's different is it creates this position that looks like a steeple. But so let me show you how to do it. So bring both of your hands together, like the knife, the blade edges of your hands together for just a moment. You're going to tuck your thumbs into your palms and then curl your fingers over the outside. Then you're going to release your pinky and ring fingers. Okay? And then you're going to turn your palms to face one another. And as you turn them to face one another, the going to touch, and the knuckles of your index and middle fingers are going to touch. So it creates, your thumbs are still tucked in. And I'll walk you through that once more. But if you're on with video with me, it looks like this. Okay, it looks like a little steeple. And then you hold this position in your lap, relaxed. So if I'm sitting, I would just hold it like this. Okay, so I'll walk you through it one more time. Again, this is Shakti Mudra, and it's easiest to start where you tuck your thumbs in, curl all your fingers over to cover your thumb, release the pinky and ring finger, and then turn everything towards each other like you're going into prayer position. But now you're the pads of your pinky and ring finger touch, and the knuckles of your index and middle finger touch. And you can take a screenshot of this too if you want, if you know how to do screenshot. Even if you just Google Shakti Mudra, you'll find a picture of it. So this is a lovely mudra. Looks like a heart when I'm holding it up like this. Looks like a heart. So Shakti Mudra, you just hold that in your lap. And this one you can use anytime. If you're sitting in on a lecture, if you're sitting on the couch at home, you can use this anywhere. Also in conversing, it's a little more obvious, like people will see your hands are doing something, they're holding something interesting, but most people wouldn't even notice. If that even matters. Most people would be, ooh, what's that? Teach me, and then you can teach them. But if you feel like you want to just keep it to yourself, it's still like a very easy one to like throw your scarf over and you just have your hands. You know, if you want to just do a secret practice and no one can know, you can cover it. It's what I've done. I'm like, I don't feel like talking about it. I just want this to be my own little secret practice. So just hold Shakti Mudra. And Mehar asked, what if the knuckles don't touch yet? So if your hands are really tight and you can't get them to touch, you mean this part doesn't touch for you? That's fine. You can just hold it apart, or you can kind of make a little more space here and just bring kind of like your nails towards each other if it doesn't close all the way. Is that what you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it goes all the way pretty much, but when you bring it into position in our lap, At that time, the knuckles separate slightly. They don't touch quite.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
What's more important is that these touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, to complete the circuit. But if this is like looser, like that or something, that's fine. If this is all looser, it's fine. So this
No,
can all
it
be,
wasn't the extended fingers. It was the folded, these ones,
yeah.
the
So if
folded
these
part.
ones, yeah, in
Yeah.
your index and middle finger, if those
Yeah.
don't touch all the way, it's okay.
Okay. Super.
Yeah, this whole thing. So I was showing it really tight like that. The
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
thing could be more
Yeah.
relaxed,
Exactly.
and
Exactly. Exactly.
it's still gonna work.
Okay.
Yeah, great question. Thank you for
Thank
asking.
you.
So let's all together just hold this position for like 1 minute. Well, yeah, we'll do this one in silence. We'll just chant Om once for this one. So just holding that position in whatever way is comfortable. One other little tip is you can always take like a blanket or a pillow and put it in your lap to prop your hands up so that's more comfortable to your shoulders. So you just want your whenever you do a mudra practice. Good, Denise. I see you grabbing your pillow. Or a stuffed animal. You could always put your hands on whatever's just cozy and fun for you. So go ahead and do the position. And exhale all your air out. Take one full deep inhale and exhale with Om. Great. So the longer you sit with this practice, the more that energy is directed to restoring the womb area, male or female. Let's see if there's one more quote for you. Yeah, Mayatwari also recommends women who are looking to conceive or have had a miscarriage, abortion, recent divorce, illusionment with love, or problems relating to their reproductive health. It also enhances a sense of self and reinforcing self-esteem. And done on a daily basis, this practice will help revive memory of the Shakti power within, strengthen Shakti prana, and heal the womb space. So beautiful. And just as a note, most mudra practices similar to pranayama and breath work, you don't want to practice if you're a woman on her menstrual cycle. So when you're actually menstruating, you don't want to redirect any of the subtle energies. You want to just let them all go down for bleeding. So just a little side note, that's one contraindication to those practices. And I guess unless you're actually doing a marma point or a practice to help Apanavayu move down. But in general, that's just the one contraindication. And then otherwise, these are really great practices to restore. I had one question. Mehar says she's very excited about this one. Yes, this is just such a beautiful practice, and very, very restorative. And, in this setting, in this workshop, we're doing it very briefly just so you get the positions, but the magic really comes from sitting with them for an extended period of time over a frequency of consistent practices. So doing this practice of like Shakti Mudra 20 minutes a day, every day, is more effective, that type of thing. Denise asked, what if someone wanted to use it for menstrual cramps? During active menstrual cramps, the cramps usually happen because Apana Vayu is stagnant, meaning the energy that wants to move down and out. So there's some kind of stagnation or block. So this Shakti Mudra won't necessarily help. It'll help resolve the block in between cycles. But if someone's actively having cramps and their body's like trying to bleed, then you actually would want to use like a marma point, like right on the pubic bone and then right in the center of the thighs. And those marma points will help move the energy down, and just things that like help dilate and soften, so that the uterus doesn't have to do the contractions. So you can put like, like a hot pack and those kinds of things. So this practice you wouldn't want to use necessarily during active cramps. It's not really going to hurt anything, but there's more effective things. Great. Thank you for asking. And then Sue asked, what's the title of the book that I just read those quotes out of? This is a wonderful book by Maya Tawari, Women's Power to Heal Through Inner Medicine. And two of the mudras that we did today are in this book, Shakti and Abhaya Mudra. And then there's other mudras too. And then the other ones are not in this book, but still common ones. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a good amount for today. There's of course, there's one little bonus one that I think everyone already knows, but we'll just throw it in the mix. It's called Gyan Mudra or Chin Mudra. This is the most common one, right? It's just that little yogi mudra. And the reason why, because this is, the pinky is earth, the ring finger is water, the middle finger is fire, which makes sense, right? When people are angry at each other, they hold the middle finger up, that fire finger of like fieriness. Now you won't forget it. And then the index finger is ether, and the thumb is space or akash. And when you're the classic meditation position is Jnana Mudra or Chin Mudra, and it's bringing the ether and space elements together with the other three fingers away. It's to help you connect to your more subtle cosmic nature. And that's why you do that position, that you see that position so often. So it helps bring, direct your mental energy and focus, and it helps you do the transcending the body, maybe not forgetting about the body, but maybe just a moment of reprieve to transcend that concept of identification with the body. So Chin Mudra or Gyan Mudra also helps you connect to wisdom. Jnana is wisdom. So that's Chin Mudra. So this is a very common one. Yeah. You know what? There's one more that I'm going to show you, and I don't know the name of it. I don't know if I've ever known the name of it, but I'll give you this little bonus one because this is one that Dr. Naram taught me many years ago. Some of you are followers of Dr. Naram. But this is, so it's kind of the opposite of Chin Mudra or Gyan Mudra, where Jnana Mudra is helping you connect to the subtle energy, which can be, because Vata is more of the subtle energy. It's kind of the opposite in that it grounds Vata. So this last one, little bonus one that I'll give you that I don't have the name for, maybe I can find out, is actually you take your index finger and stretch it across your hand with your thumbs and touch your thumb to the three more dense elements of of water, earth, and fire. So you stretch, you take your hand, you stretch, you bring your index finger down and basically try to just clamp it down with your thumb a little bit. So it's kind of a stretch to this finger, but you're trying to stretch the tip of your index finger towards the outside edge of your pinky finger. Just you're moving it in that direction. And then you close these three. And you do that with both hands. So index finger comes down. You stretch your thumb over your index finger towards your pinky, and then you touch the tip of your thumb to the pinky, ring finger, and middle finger. This is the mudra to calm vata. So this is an anti-vata mudra. Yep. We all need this one, especially if we have highly sensitive nervous systems. So one last time, I'll walk you through it. You can have palms facing up. Tuck your index finger down. Stretch your thumb to press your index finger down against your palm, and then touch the tips of your thumb to the tips of your pinky, ring, and middle finger. And then you hold that down, up, like face on your lap, on your thighs when you're meditating. And this is also a good one that you can use anytime because no one will ever really notice. You know, it's not like a complicated hand position. You can just hold that anytime. And Anne, did you have a question? Okay, your mic just came unmuted. So this is a great one. Like I said, I wish I knew the name for it. We'll just call it Anti-Vata Mudra. And I'll see if I can find the Sanskrit name. But it's very grounding. Very, very grounding. John asked, is it as effective to use with one hand if the other hand, our fingers are sore? Absolutely, John. Yeah, you don't have to do it with both hands and you'll still get a great benefit from it. This is also, you know, if someone doesn't have either as an amputation or doesn't have the use of one of your hands, but you can still do this practice and get great benefit from it with just one hand. Thank you for asking. Okay, so yeah, let's hold this one for just 1 minute, just so you can feel this grounding effect. This is a great place to wrap up and end today. And the grounding, connecting the higher space, you know, the higher self elements down to the material earth elements. Grounding Vata, principle of movement. Ah, beautiful. You can release the hands and give them a little wiggle. Roll out your wrists. Sue says finger yoga. Totally, Sue. Exactly. This is, you know, it's a great way to get the energy pathways moving in your body, even when you're unable to do a full yoga practice, asana practice. So let's do a quick review and then just sing our little closing prayer and we'll wrap up for today. So we started with, did I do them in the same order? Yeah. So we started with Abhaya Mudra, which is the mudra that creates fearlessness and invokes divine protection, creates courage and resilience. And this is the one where your palm is just, your elbow's tucked in, your right elbow is tucked in against your body, and the right palm is just facing out. Fingers are relaxed. So that's Abhaya Mudra. And then we did Dhyana Mudra, which is the easy pose where Right hand is on top of the left, down in your lap, both palms facing up, and the tips of the thumbs are touching one another. And this is just an easy pose for creating peacefulness while you're meditating, and keep the energy flowing in your body, creating focus and ease. And then we did Anjali Mudra, which is prayer position, both palms touching each other, the thumb connected to the heart, and that turns your energy inward and creates a sense of spiritual surrender and a mood of humility and gratitude and prayer. And this one also dispels any anxiousness. And finally, we did Shakti Mudra, where both of your thumbs tuck into your hands and your index and ring and middle finger tuck over the thumbs. And then you kind of go into a prayer-like position where the knuckles move towards each other and the pads of your ring finger and pinky finger touch each other. And you actually can hold Shakti Mudra like a prayer position if you want, but it's usually just more comfortable to let it relax down into your lap. And then we did Jnana Mudra, Chin Mudra, which is the classic meditation position where just the thumb and the index finger touch in a circle, and the other three fingers are stretched away, and those relax up on your lap, on your lap while you meditate. And then we did that special Dr. Naram anti-vata mudra where you stretch the index finger, tuck it under your thumb, and touch the tip of your thumb to the small three fingers, pinky, ring, and middle. Thus completes our mudra practice for today. I like seeing you all doing your finger yoga in the video. And I hope those of you who listen to this recording as an audio can still practice along, or you can always go to YouTube and watch the hand positions if you'd like. And Mehar asked, for the last one, do you press it 6 times? No, this isn't, you don't need to press. You just hold it. Yeah. Marma points, you press in rounds of 6, but this mudra practice, you just relax and hold it. Yeah. Namaskar, Sue. Thank you so much for your kind words. Let's just send out a little universal prayer. May all beings be blessed and be free and at peace. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Anne Catherine just asked real quick, and you're welcome, Rebecca. Thank you for your kind words and gratitude. Anne said, the Jnana Chin Mudra. So Gyan is spelled Gyan and Chin like the chin. Jnana or Chin Mudra, same. So there you go. Wonderful. So let's take Anjali Mudra and send our prayers out. Take a deep breath in, exhale with Om, and then we'll chant Loka chant 3 times. Deep breath in. Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Such a pleasure to be here with all of you. I hope this workshop was helpful for you and that you enjoy continuing to do these mudra practices. So lovely to have you. Thank you, Linton. Thank you, John. Thank you all for your participation and your presence and your Shakti and your prana and your energy. Thank you all for being here. And next week we'll meet in the afternoon time. So, and I'll email you if you're not registered for this class, which you probably are if you're here. But if you want to make sure you're registered, just to get the recordings, additional resources, as well as updates on future live classes, make sure you go to my website, alicialyndiaz.com, and then click the button that says trauma healing, and that will connect you into all the workshops around the topic of Ayurvedic psychology, trauma healing, and all of these energy practices that we'll do together and continue to expand upon. So, Mehar said, thank you for offering these. Listen to last recording. It was so great. And greetings from Germany to all. Yes, my pleasure. So much love to you all. Om Shanti. Be at peace and enjoy. And I'll see you next week, I hope. Bye.